Yung ire-report ko ngayon is yung chapter 3 which is methodology. Introduction. This chapter of thesis or dissertation contains a comprehensive description of research design, the research local, the sample and sampling, technique use, instrumentation, procedure, and a complete statistical analysis of the data. First is the research design. The research design methodology contains a brief description of research design to be used and including the justification of why it is the best method for the study. Research, research design refers to a scheme or plan of action used to meet the research objective of the study. It is a detailed plan of how the research will be conducted. Hence, the quality of research output depends upon the research design or method used in this study. Any researcher should therefore exercise a great level of judgment in the selecting the appropriate and effective method of research in order to ensure the success of the attainment of the specific objective of the study. And any or a combination of the following research design could be utilized depending on its appropriateness to the study to be conducted. Tapos merong iba't ibang type ng research design. The first is yung survey. First is yung descriptive research. Tapos yung descriptive research, meron siyang iba't ibang type. Yung una is survey. A survey is used when the objective of the study is to see a general or specific picture of the population under investigation in terms of their social and economic characteristics, opinion, and their knowledge about or behavior toward a certain phenomenon, covering either relatively large population under investigation called census or with a limited scope which cover only a portion of population under study called sample survey. Tapos yung next naman is the content analysis. This is used to describe objectively, systematically, and quantitatively the content of document found in business record, minutes of meeting, speeches, newspaper, journals, or magazine. It is otherwise known as a documentary analysis. An example of research study that could use this type is the attitude of Filipinos toward Americans in 1980s to 1981. In this particular study, instead of using interview as an instrument to gather data on the topic, an objective, systematic, and quantitative analysis of news and articles in newspaper, journals, magazine covering a given period of time as indicated in the research title may be done. Tapos yung pangatlo is the case study. This is used when extensively thorough and comprehensive study of a particular individual, group, or institution or situation is involved over a period of time. It is a comprehensive study of a person, a group, or a community. Case study as a comprehensive and extensive examination of a particular individual, group, or situation in a given period of time. In using this type of descriptive method, the researcher should always practice fairness and objectivity in analyzing and presenting the findings of the study. He or she should act as an observer participant of the case on hand. He or she also observes action and records the significant event based on his or her observation. And last is the feasibility study. This descriptive method is used to find the viability of a proposed undertaking and the establishment of either a certain situation, infrastructure, or a business venture. This study involved an extensive and systematic analysis of all factors affecting the possibility of success of a proposed project. An example is the establishment of marine biological station for the University of East, a proposal. Tapos yung second type descriptive met descriptive method is the experimental method. Experimental method can be used inside or outside the laboratory condition. It is the most prestigious method of advancing scientific knowledge. This method is defined by Kerlingen as a design which is used to manipulate and control one or more independent variable for variation concomitant for the manipulation of the independent variable. It is a technique of discovering information through experimentation. It is a procedure involving a manipulation or control of condition for the purpose of studying the relative effect of various treatment applied to member of a sample or of the statement treatment applied to member of different sample. Third, third is the historical method. Historical method is useful design which involve a critical thinking of past experiences, events, and development in order to manipulate helpful information and direction for present and future action. Historical research as a critical investigation of past events, experiences, and development, and the meticulous examination of evidence of the validity of sources as of past information and interpretation of weighted evidence. Knowing the past will enable us to understand ourselves as a people. We also, we also learn to appreciate the things we have done in the past which contribute to what we enjoy or suffer today. This also enables us to learn from the mistakes of the past and assist us to avoid them not only in the present but also in the future. Historical source. Good and Gates, 1972, gave two basic sources of historical data, namely, first is documents which are report of events made up impression in the past that have been consciously recorded with the purpose of transmitting information. Second, remain or relics which are physical objects or written materials of historical value and produced without the purpose of deliberately imparting information. The second is the research local. That is this portion of chapter on methodology contain a description of the place where the respondents are obtained. Research local refers to the specific geographical area or location where research is conducted. It can be a poverty-stricken area affected by health crisis or any other territory. The choice of research local is important as it can impact the quality of result, especially when there is a strong spatial heterogeneity. Yung sa research local, yun lang yung yung dito lang pumapasok yung kung saan natin makukuha yung respondent natin dun sa ating thesis. Samples and sampling technique. For a study to produce a valid and reliable result, sufficient representative of samples and appropriate sampling techniques should be adopted. Sampling is the process of getting a representative part of the population being studied. A representative of sample is determined in a manner that the characteristic properties and variation are reflected. Sampling as a process of measuring a sample portion of something followed by a general statement about the whole thing. A sample is any sub-aggregate drawn from the population. Ari et al. Define sampling as a process involving the taking of a part of the population. It is pointed out that a good sampling is an effective means of reducing the number of persons conducted to get a relatively accurate picture of the sample population attitude and opinion. A sample is a subset of people from a population, while sampling refers to selecting the group from whom you will gather the data for your research. Second, the population and the sample size. A population refers to a group to which an investigator would like the result to be generalized. Hence, it is a larger group about which a generalization is made. It also refers to all members of any well-defined class of people, event, or object. A sample is a small group taken from a larger population composed of members being studied. A good sample size should be a representative of the population and should be adequate in size to be reliable. If all members of population have an equal chance of being selected, then the sample is a representative of the population. Ito yung formula para makakuha ng sample. N is equals to N over 1 plus N times to e raised to 2, where small n is equals to sample size, where big big N is equals to population size, and E is the desired margin of error. This Itong formula nito is not applicable to all small population. Agosto et al. 1980 present a table showing the sample size for specified margin of error indicating the margin of error that are not applicable to population size as indicated by NA as follows. Ito yung sample ng table na binigay sa para malaman kung saan lang applicable yung formula na yon. Third is the sampling design. There are basically two types of sampling, namely probability sampling and non-probability sampling. A probability sampling is a type of sampling where wherein the selection of sample is done with the member of the population having the equal chance to be selected as part of the representative sample. Non-probability sampling. This is a type of sampling wherein no system of selection is employed, and the samples may not be a proportion of the population and may depend upon the situation, as presented in this portion of sampling design. Samples are taken out of judgment and are not derived through procedure that will guarantee equal chances of representation, hence this is also called non-random sampling. Tapos yung probability sampling, meron siyang type. First is the simple random sampling. Simple random sampling. It is the simplest probability sampling, which is usually done by using lottery or raffle method of getting the representative samples of the problem. Stratified random sampling is a type of probability method using using which a research organization can branch of the entire population into multiple non-overlapping homogeneous group and randomly choose final member from the various strata from research which reduces cost and improves efficiency. Member in each of these groups should be distinct so that every member of all groups gets an equal opportunity to be selected using simple probability sampling. Third is the systematic sampling. Systematic sampling, a probability sampling method where researchers member from select member of the population at a regular interval. Last is the cluster sampling. Cluster sampling is the best used to study large spread out population where aiming to interview each subject would be costly, time consuming and perhaps impossible. Cluster sampling allows for creating cluster with a smaller representation of population being assessed with similar characteristics. Ito naman yung type ng non-probability sampling. First is the purposive sampling. Purposive sampling. This is otherwise called the deliberate sampling. In this design, the respondents are selected based on the judgment of who best qualified the objective of the research. Second is the quota sampling. Quota sampling. This method involves the taking of the desired number of respondents with required characteristic proportionate to the population study. Last is the convenience or accidental sampling. This sampling technique involves the conduct of study wherein the respondents are selected based on the convenience of the researcher. Next is the instrumentation. Instrumentation is the process of constructing research instrument that could be used appropriately in gathering data on the study. The questionnaire, interview, and observation are most commonly used tools in gathering data. Fir- First is the questionnaire. The questionnaire is a set of orderly arranged questions carefully prepared to answer the specific problem of the study. Webster Dictionary defined the word questionnaire as a list of questionnaires to be answered by a group of people, especially designed to get facts or information. It is a list of written questions related to a particular topic provided with the space for respondent to fill up. Merong types ng question. There are two types of question that could be used in preparation of a questionnaire, namely open-ended question and fixed alternative question. Open-ended question. The questions are listed in a way that it allows the respondent to freely express himself on the subject or issue. It does not enumerate alternative responses. Second is fixed alternative question. This is otherwise called the closed type of question, which provide a list of choices among enumerated alternatives. Hence, the subject responses are limited to a specific alternative. Preparation of the questionnaire. A review of related literature and study will be very helpful in the preparation of the questionnaire. Once a topic for a research has been decided and approved by The appropriate body, the formulation of specific question follows. Try to examine the questionnaires used in some of the research studies similar to your approved topic. They can be served as a guide in the formulation of your questions in the questionnaire. You may also talk to people who are knowledgeable in the construction of a questionnaire. The questionnaire should include clear instruction or direction of what to do with the list of questions. Each questionnaire should be include a cover letter and courteously composed, neatly organized and typed, containing the following information. Ito dapat yung mga nakalagay dun sa pagko-construct nyo ng questionnaire. First is the greetings, the subject, and the brief significance of the study. Second is the vital role of respondent in answering the question. Three, where to return the questionnaire and when is the deadline. Fourth, guarantee of confidentiality of information and anonymity of the respondent. Fifth is the statement of gratitude for the cooperation and participation of the respondent. Six is the expression of willingness to supply the respondent the result of the study. Seven is the personal signature of the researcher and endorsement from influential people. This may help in the excellent retrieval of the questionnaire. Tapos ito naman yung mga guidelines in preparation of the questionnaire. In construction of a question for your questionnaire, the following guidelines may be helpful. First is the direction and questions should be clear and definite. Avoid vague and double-barreled questions like can you follow or not. Second is construct question with proper grammar and punctuation mark. Third is question as should be related to the study and express affirmatively. Fourth is give sufficient number of questions and alternative responses. Fifth is group and arrange the question according to the specific problem of the study. Six is the alternative responses should be relevant to the question being asked. Last is questions should be worded carefully that will elicit clear and definite answer. Second is the interview. An interview is a face-to-face, verbal and direct interaction between the interviewer and the interviewee. It is a meeting wherein the investigator does the questioning to the respondent to gather information regarding to the study. It is another essential instrument used to gather data. It is used to supplement the result of the questionnaire. Tapos merong types ng interview. First is the formal and the second is informal. In a formal interview, the interviewer follows an interview schedule made up of a standard question and answer sheet which are carefully designed to gather the information that will be answered the specific question of the study. Second is the informal. The interviewer is guided only by a number of significant points to which the conduct of the interview is centered and not by a set of questions or interview guide. Types of interview according to purpose. According to purpose, Tris et al. 1973 classified an interview into 5 categories as follows. First is the non-directive. wherein the interview is allowed to talk freely on the topic. Second is the standardized, wherein the same question are asked without changes on the specific wording in the interview schedule and conduct the interview in the same manner as the other. This is also called formal interview. Third is the non-standardized or otherwise known as the informal interview. Involve a specific pattern of question asked. The interviewer has a has the freedom to organize the interview in his or her own way and in the most appropriate situation. Fourth is the semi-standardized. This is a combination of a formal and informal type composed of carefully prepared question of pivoting only on the problem. Focus interview. Similar to an informal interview, only the investigator focuses his or her own question in the specific investigating in depth. Hence, this is also called depth interview. Third is types of interview according to format. According to format Manuel et al. 1976 classified as follows. Parang katulad din siya nung types of interview according to purpose. Tapos meron tayong mga tools sa interview. Namely, first is the interview schedule. This is an instrument contains a question similar to the questionnaire being accomplished with the assistance of the investigator. Second is the interview guide. This is an instrument that contains general information or ideas that will guide the investigator in seeking the respondent. Salient points in the conduct of interview. There are various salient points that could be followed in the conduct of interview as follows. First is the preparation. This involves the preparation of the interview schedule and interview guide and the identification of possible strategy to be used in the conduct of the interview. Second is the identification of the place for interview. This includes the selection of ideal place where to conduct the interview. It should be comfortable and free from noise or distraction. Third is developing rapport. The researcher should develop friendly and cordial atmosphere with the interviewee at the beginning of the interview. This will enable the interviewee to freely state his view on the topic being discussed. Fourth is sustaining the interview. The researcher should try to sustain a smooth conversation going with the interviewee. He or she should provide some keyword for the interviewee if needed. Recording the interview. Objective recording of the interview should be done as soon as possible. Try to maintain accuracy and impartiality to avoid misinterpretation or misquoting of any statement. For better accuracy in the documentation and interpretation of the interview, the interviewer should use a handy or portable tape recorder. The tape of the interview will serve both an easy reference as a documentation. Six is the closing. This part of interview should be done with a sincere expression of thanks and appre- appreciation to the interviewee for the time effort, and generosity he or she extended in providing any information to the researcher. Third is the observation. Observation is the process of watching the situation of the research through the use of senses such as sight, touch, smell, hearing, and taste. It is used to gather empirical data that should not be obtained by using other means. It also helps to verify the result of the questionnaire and interview to supplement the findings of the study. Ardles 1987 identify, identifies observation as the earliest method of the acquisition of knowledge. It may be classified into two types. First is the structured type, which involve an observation of the activities and conditions pertinent to the study. It disregards unnecessary information which is not related to the problem. Hence, an observation guide contains some listed items that are going to be observed and are relevant to the research topic will serve as the direction for solving the problem on hand. Second is the unstructured type, which does not use any observation guide, hence exercising flexibility on observing activities relevant. It provides a research richer and more direct description of phenomenon under the study. Reliability and validity of the instrument. Yung sa reliability, di yan lang, dapat lang yung reliable and valid lang yung research instrument na gagamitin mo. Fifth is the procedure. This part of thesis and dissertation include the details of the data collection procedure. It involved the statement of the person responsible for administration and retrieval of the questionnaire, the conduct of the interview, and the time frame involved to the collect needed data. Statistical analysis. Statistical analysis is the process of numerical presentation and analysis of data gathered in consonant with the specific problem or hypothesis of the study. Tapos, tapos yung statistical analysis is the most precise and objective step to analyze the result of the study. Tapos meron tayong statistical analysis na ginagamit. Yung first is the mean, the median, and the mode. Tapos yung the test of significance. There are two general types of tests of significance, namely the parametric and non-parametric test. Parametric tests are usually used for testing the significance of samples obtained, which must be based upon an assumption of a normal or systematic curve in the population under study. Tapos meron tayong most commonly used na parametric test. Yung una is the C-test. Second is the test for independent sample means. Third is the test for dependent sample means. Fourth is the F-test. Fifth is the two-way ANOVA or two-way test. Sixth is the person product moment correlation. Tapos at yung sa non-parametric statistic naman yung yung laging ginagamit is the chi chi-square test. Yun, yun lang.